The Nubble Lighthouse has stood watch over the coast of York, Maine since it was commissioned in 1879. Generations of people have regarded the Nubble as a symbol of the simple and down-to-earth Maine lifestyle. Every year the lighthouse is visited by hundreds of thousands of people who admire it from the park wishing they could go there. Today we're going to cross the water and get to see what few people get to see. Although the island isn't open to the public, the lighthouse keeper crosses the stretch of open ocean between the park and the lighthouse several times a week. The Nubble hasn't had a residential lighthouse keeper since it was automated in 1987. He uses a small rowboat to make the crossing because the boat has to be small enough to be operated and dragged by one person. There are many days a month when safe crossing is not possible. The rocky shore of the Nubble is spanned by a long boat ramp leading to the boathouse. Along the way you pass the Whale Rock with a painted face maintained by the lighthouse keepers at the Nubble. The boathouse is the third one in this location. It was built after the previous boathouse was wiped off the island during the blizzard of 1978. Every winter, huge waves assault the east side of the island, come over this protective shoulder of rock, and run under the boathouse to the other side. After passing the boathouse, there is a long staircase up the bluff to a walkway which leads to the house. It is a comfortable Victorian-era home with many large windows and high ceilings. There is a covered porch leading to the entryway with a staircase leading to the bedrooms upstairs. In classic New England style, the downstairs rooms lead one to another with doors allowing them to be closed off to preserve heat in the winter. The living room is in the front where it is always Christmas since the famous tree in front of the window is always up. The lighthouse keeper just plugs it in once Thanksgiving comes along. The kitchen, dining room, and pantry complete the whole first floor. The back door opens onto the connector walkway, leading to the lighthouse and a small deck in the back of the house. This space is more private than the front yard, which faces the park. The backyard is small and ends in the dramatic 40-foot cliffs which the lighthouse is perched upon. Upstairs, the bedrooms follow the gables of the house. The north-facing bedroom looks out onto the Bald Head Cliffs. Those cliffs were the site of the wreck of the Isidore in 1842, which prompted the federal government to build the Cape Nettic Light Station. The second bedroom occupies the east and south gables. The east window looks out 6 miles onto Boone Island Light, the tallest lighthouse in New England, and the site of a horrible shipwreck and cannibalism. The south window of the bedroom has a view of the tower and the Isles of Shoals just outside of Portsmouth, New Hampshire. The east bedroom faces Sawyer Park and was divided to include a bathroom in the floor plan. There was no bathroom until 1938 when electricity was brought to the island. The wall divided one of the 3 window lights in the bathroom space, and the window is inside of the shower. For the last lighthouse family, the smallest bedroom became the baby's room. When the toddler started climbing out of his crib, they installed a lock on the outside of the door for fear of him getting out of the house when they were sleeping. He was also the recipient of the smallest survival suit the Coast Guard ever made, since he was less than a year old when he came to the island. Lighthouse keeping has always been a family affair, with the lighthouse keeper's wife assuming his duties any time he needed to leave the island. The last person born at the Nubble was born in 1927 and still lives in York today. There is no well on the island and no access to water from shore, so for 100 years the lighthouse keepers collected water from a system of gutters that ran from the roof to a 4,000-gallon cistern in the basement. The lighthouse keeper would keep records of the water supply and ration it during the dry summer season. 4 weeks' worth of food was also kept on the island because long stormy periods could last for weeks and prevent a safe crossing by boat. The most famous resident of the lighthouse wasn't a person at all. Instead, it was keeper James Burke's 19-pound tabby cat, Mr. T. The cat became a tourist attraction by swimming across the gut which separates the island from the mainland to catch mice 3 or 4 times each day. People would come just to see him. When Burke left the job, he left the cat to the next keeper, Eugene Coleman. The most interesting part of the Nubble is the lighthouse itself. It is 41 feet tall and constructed of 2 layers of brick surrounded by a cast iron exterior. The cast iron was manufactured in Portland, Maine. Because the base of the tower is high on the rocks, the light is 88 feet above the mean high tide line. To get up there, you must climb 32 steps to the equipment room and then ascend an 8-rung ladder to get to the lantern. There you will find a 4th order Fresnel lens manufactured in Paris in 1891. The original lens was destroyed in a fire in the late 1800s. It is lit by a 1,000-watt light bulb and is wrapped by a red plexiglass cylinder. On a clear night, the signal can be seen for 14 miles, blinking in the unique signature of the Cape Netick light station's 6 seconds red isophase, meaning 3 seconds on, 3 seconds off. Of the 65 lighthouses in Maine, only 8 still have Fresnel lenses, and only 84 remain inactive lighthouses in the United States. The lenses themselves are regarded as nearly priceless. Initially, the audible fog signal was a 1,200-pound bell housed in a pyramid bell tower and struck by a mechanical striker that had to be wound by the lighthouse keeper. When electricity came to the Nubble, the bell was replaced by 2 electric foghorns with a cheery tone, and the bell tower was eventually taken down. For years, the original bell was kept in the Short Sands beach area and came back to Sawyer Park in 2020 for Nubble visitors to see. The most active part of the island is the keeper's workshop, the white outbuilding on the left. It houses the tools and lawn equipment used in the maintenance of the buildings and grounds. The house and the lighthouse get most of the attention, but recently the workshop was repaired using the same kind of lumber and building methods that the original structure was built with. This space is vital to the upkeep of all the other buildings on the island. A small red brick building once was the storage shed for the oil that fueled the lamp. When the lamp was electrified, it housed a backup diesel generator. The basket or tram crosses the water from the point of the peninsula in the park to the front lawn of the island. It is suspended by a cable and originally was just a wooden crate operated by hand. Now it is powered by an electric motor and operates with a wireless remote, allowing the keeper to load it from the park side and send it across while he rows to meet it on the other side. It is a tremendous time and labor saver. Without the basket, the lighthouse keeper has to move heavy supplies like shingles and lumber by carrying them up over the slippery rocks down to the rowboat, row them across to the island, carry them up the long boat ramp, up the stairs which ascend the cliff, and up the elevated walkway to get to the lighthouse. The basket takes about 2 minutes to convey supplies directly to the front yard of the lighthouse. Although people are now prohibited from riding in the basket for safety reasons, that wasn't always the case. Famously, keeper David Winchester's 8-year-old son, Ricky, used to ride back and forth in the basket, 60 feet above the ocean to catch the bus every weekday. There were so many days when the ocean conditions were unsafe for crossing that his parents felt that it was safer for him to be conveyed by a basket. Often a crowd would gather to see the crossing, and word got out about it. Ultimately, the attention was the end of the basket rides because the Coast Guard saw the photo of the crossing in a Boston newspaper and deemed it unsafe. From that point on, families with school-age children were prohibited from living at the Nubble Lighthouse. The holiday season at the Nubble Lighthouse is a special time full of long-standing traditions. All the buildings on the island are lit from the end of November until New Year's Day. Each year, thousands of visitors flock to Sawyer Park for a party to kick off the Christmas season just after Thanksgiving. The York High School chamber singers sing classic Christmas carols, the Sawyer Park Committee brings cookies and hot chocolate for everyone, and Santa even makes an appearance. After sunset, a local dive club brings a lit Christmas tree up from the depths, where it floats on the surface for all to admire. In the shadow of the lighthouse is the intersection of diverse life from the land, sea, and air. The Nubble is a popular dive spot because of the ease of access to a place to see all manner of fishes, crustaceans, and marine mammals. Whales and giant tuna are often spotted from the shores of the park from time to time. Summer brings harbor seal pups who appear on the rocks of the Nubble often. Early summer is also the time that the island becomes a rookery for gulls and cormorants. On occasion, the island has been visited by wayward deer who are actually good swimmers. In 2019, a doe swam out to the Nubble on Memorial Day weekend and gave birth to a fawn. She left the island, but the fawn was unable to. The Parks Department waited to see if the mother would return, but ultimately acted in coordination with the Maine Warden Service, and the fawn was brought to live at the Maine Wildlife Park in Gray, Maine. There is no telling what the observant watcher will see on any given day at the Nubble. Whether you have never been to the Nubble or have been there hundreds of times, a visit to Sawyer Park is time well spent. Whether you are gazing across the water to the lighthouse on a sunny afternoon or during a howling winter nor'easter, there is always something new to see. Hope to see you all there soon.